Mike Andes, and today we're going to show a video from actually a Q&A that we did last weekend, and it's about cash flow. Because if you believe it or not, you can actually have a profitable business that goes bankrupt and loses all its cash and goes out of business, not because it's a bad business model or they're doing a bad job of their customers or invoicing or whatever, but simply because their accounts receivables keeps going up, people are not paying them and they're not collecting the money that they've earned. So this is a good question, and I think something that a lot of people struggle with when it comes to cash flow. And so let's go ahead and dive into some of the things that you can do to improve your cash flow, get money faster, and it's not just get credit cards. There's other things that you can do to be able to increase your cash flow and make sure that you're receiving the money faster than it is going out the door.
What's up, Mike? My name's Anthony. So I am born and bred. My dad was in the landscaping business prior to me, so it's pretty much all I know. He, about 3 years ago, he retired. We worked out a deal where I took his company over, which was about 65 accounts. So I was maintaining those lawns, me and one employee, obviously not too much overhead and expenses. Last year, at the beginning of last year, I purchased another company, bumping me up to around 215 accounts. So now I have 5 employees, and my question to you, and obviously a lot of overhead and expenses that I didn't previously have, and I sort of did go 0 to 100. So it's been, a struggle, but it's, what I do and what I know. So I'm definitely not complaining. But my question to you is, do you have any advice on cash flow? Because I use Aspire for my route sheets, and I'm collecting a lot of data. Obviously, I use QuickBooks as well, so I'm collecting data there also. And my numbers are all pretty good. My profit margins are nice, and I'm happy with the amount of money that we're generating. It's just getting the money in that seems to be my biggest hurdle.
Okay, so a couple things. So you're saying getting more money in is the problem right now, or is it, when you say money, you mean like revenue, or you mean profit?
No, just cash flow. I just need cash flow. Like everything, the profit margins are there, the revenue's there. It's just keeping up with the, customers that are not paying, holding out on payments. And obviously I have, a decent sized nut to come up with every month for payroll. So that's my biggest struggle right now. As far as operations, we crush it. We really do. We have a great team here, but, it's just getting the money in. I'm always owed so much money, out on the street.
So a couple things. It's very common this time of year to be in this situation, because we're kind of going like, most money in home improvement, almost all of it in terms of profit, is made in the second half of the year. So this is usually like the kind of the bottom trough of profitability or cash flow, right? The next 6 months we kind of start collecting on people that were overdue and all the rest of it. So here's what I would say. Here's the really easy one that most people do, and it's something that's simple, is get a line of credit, right? That if you're profitable and just a cash flow issue, getting a line of credit will help this problem, and then you'll pay it off in the second half of the year. That's like the simple, easy answer. Another, and if you have good tax returns, you're gonna be able to get a line of credit pretty easily, right? If you can show good balance sheet on your business, etc. Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing.
Okay. Yeah, and so that's like the easy thing. Then you got to look at further beyond that. It's like, okay, what actually operationally can I change to improve the cash flow? Is like, okay, do I make sure I have a credit card on file so that way someone cannot go to collections? Like they cannot not pay me. Can I require them to have a card on file? Can I, invoice them, every week or every day instead of every month? Those are the more operationally things that you'd have to change. Your response to those, what's that?
So, okay, line of credit. Yeah, obviously I thought of that. Now, what I was afraid to do is actually require people to, give me a credit card or have some type of car payment on file. And obviously reason being is just, that my expenses are so high. If I get pushback or they don't want to, I'm just nervous to try to, back them into a corner like that. And then they say, oh, no, I'm going to go to the other guy that I can string out for another 2 months. And, that's pretty much my fear.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
This question could backfire on me. Out of all of your bills, let's say you have 100 bills. How many of them do you write a check every single month for versus having a credit card on file or a bank like ACH?
No, I understand. I know, dude. I know, but it's also, this is the business, and it comes down to, it's like a supply and demand thing. There's so many, everybody and their brother's a landscaper, so I do provide an amazing service. We show up on time every week. Nobody ever has to worry.
Mhm.
But in the same breath, there's a guy out there that will do it cheaper, and that will put up with not getting paid and stuff like that. But I'm at a point where I'm realizing fast, because my second year doing it with this amount of employees, that I can't keep doing it the same way. It's not working. So
So why would someone
I,
choose you over him? Why would someone choose your business over him? Because he's obviously cheaper. They don't have to pay him
well,
occasionally. Why would they choose you?
I would say quality and reliability. That's what's going to be the separation right there.
And so what you're going to do is require having a credit card file is going to flush out 5 to 10% of your customer base, all the ones that give you the most
Right.
headache, and always the ones that give you the most problems about your pricing and you showing up at the right time. And
Right.
they are the ones who are 30, 60, 90 days behind. So putting little
Right.
occasional like price increases or requiring things like credit card file allows you to get rid of those
Right.
customers. And then you're going to have way more time to go focus on getting new customers that are actually willing to pay a price. And furthermore, we always think of like require a credit card as like a bad thing. Keep in mind, personally, all of us like to do it. Secondly, you're actually paying for their convenience. They're going to get their extra 1% back or their air miles or whatever. And most
Right.
people actually want that. And so either A, I would like to say, if you're hesitant about it, make your onboarding process of a new customer much more pushing them towards that by really talking about how your customers love it. It's a great auto pay, and it's like the next step of the process of getting set up as a customer. And then if you like literally, if you do that correctly, 90% of your customers will use it because they want to. And then if you want to, if you still need the cash flow, require the next 10%, put a card on file, and guess what? Those are the 10% that are causing all the cash flow issues. And so if they left, you shouldn't really
Right.
worry. So I think first of all, you got to spin it. First of all, it's actually a positive thing for them. Most of them want it. Most of them want the air miles and the cash back. If you're hesitant about making a requirement, make it much better in the onboarding of the new customer as an email that's like, hey, the next step here is to set up auto pay. All our customers love it. Click here,
Right.
and then just go right into the form.
Right. Now, I don't know how much time you have with me, but to even push the envelope a little further, what do you think about more? Because, like, look, everything's subscription based, and I think that's the name of the game in landscaping. Almost like alter it to be like a subscription, like Netflix. Like, you pay for Netflix the month before you use the service. Do you think that is something that's feasible in the landscape industry? Basically, like saying, hey, if your lawn costs $160 a month, we build the cards out before we do the work.
If you have
Do
12
you
month
think that's
services,
something?
if you do services year round, I'm a big fan of this. I would do this in a heartbeat
Okay.
if I was able to mow your lawns year round, and that is charged at the beginning of the year. We have a couple of our franchisees at Augusta Lawn Care that do this, and they have the best cash flow in the world. But the problem is, if
Yeah.
you don't mow someone's lawn for 3 or 4 months, or maybe you do it once during the winter just to kind of keep up with it, it's very difficult
Right.
to convince people that they're paying for something prior to it happening, and then you don't see them for 3 months, right? So,
Well, Mike,
yep.
I was saying during like our cut season, during like our window of cut season, just as far as, let's say I do ask all my clients to get a card on file, and then instead of saying, hey, look, we're going to bill you out after the 4 cuts are done for the month, we're going to bill you before the 4 cuts. If it rains and we don't come, you'll get a credit for the next month. I think that's like the best way to stop that cash flow problem.
Totally.
But I just don't know if.
No, I agree 100%. There's a few things why we've never done it. And the number one positive thing is cash flow. I'm all on board with doing level billing, even for like say 8 or 9 months, doing it prior to the month starting. There's a few things that throw a little bit of a glitch in this. Number one, you're going to have months where there's 5 services, right? So you can't just multiply it by 4.
Right.
You're going to have to bake in like 4.3, right? So then they start running the math against the guy down the street that's giving it per cut price. And they're like, well, you're like $10 more per cut. It's like, well, no, I'm baking the fact that there's going to be 5 cuts on 3 of those months. And so now you're starting to get this game like explaining things. But I like it. I like having upfront card on file. You charge them at the beginning of the month, and the reason, honestly, it's an admin side, right? So say for example, someone cancels on the 15th of the month. Well, now they want 50% of that month refunded to them, right? What happens
Okay.
if someone, now it's a matter of like, if they got long grass, you're still got to do a per cut price to get them up to spec before they
Right.
can go on to that.
Yeah.
So you're just adding more friction to the beginning of the sales process.
Right. More variables can arise from.
But
Well, I'm locking what you're saying.
you
I'm
do solve
locking
the
myself,
cash flow. You solve that problem for sure.
but I'm also locking myself into a set price. There's no room to adjust, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but you can raise prices like a subscription, right? You can absolutely do that. It's just that I've seen it harder to upsell customers too. It works really well. What you're talking about works really well for full service and 12 months, right? So when I say full service, I mean
Right.
like you're doing their weeding, their bush trimming, you do everything when you show up at the property. I've seen it work really well for that and for 12 if people mow year round. It's a little bit harder when you are trying to upsell, for example, mulch. Now you're going to bill for that after the fact, right? It's just more explaining
Right.
to a customer. And I'm not opposed to that. It just, you're adding friction to the upfront of the relationship. And if you're not trying to grow, that's probably fine. And so I'm a big believer once someone stops wanting to grow their business. And if you're at that point, this would be a good move. And that is, you're going to start adding some more friction to the sales process by requiring, hey, I need, by the way, if you want to do mowing service with this, I'm going to take a card right now and I'm going to charge you $250. Like that's more friction to, yeah, we'll be there tomorrow and we'll bill you at the end of the month, which can all be automated. Right. So you're just adding more friction. But I think, based upon what you've said, I think that's a good move for you. I really do. You're going to add more friction. You don't need to grow. You're not in that stage where like, I need to grow. You can change that policy down the road if you need to. Go ahead.
But in the same breath, I am 29 years old and, I'm fortunate enough to rent for my parents. So basically it's like, all hands on deck for this business. So that was my next question for you is I'm at that 200, 215 mark. I have 5 employees, 3 on one truck, which is my big dense route, and then 2 on my other truck, which is more, spread out. How do I break through from that like $400,000 revenue mark to like, let's say $1 million or, obviously I know there's levels in between, but how do I push it?
It all depends on how fast you want to do it, right? If you want to do it fast, you're probably not going to do 12-month billing, card on file, payment prior to service. That's going to be a more friction up front of the sales process. If you want to sell over the phone, get them on the schedule and bill later, and you have a card on file, then you're probably going to scale faster. Now, this is the thing. If you want to build $1 million business over the next 10 to 12 years, I would do the more cautious approach, better cash flow approach that we've talked about. If you're like, I've got to get there in the next 3 years, or I just want to quit, that's when it's like, okay, well then you're going to have to, you're going to have to sell over the phone. You're going to have to reduce friction of the sale. You're not going to be trying to do all these other services, and you're just going to focus on selling. And that again, it's just a matter of close ratio.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else I could ask you. Honestly, dude, you put out such good content. I appreciate the time.
My pleasure, brother. We'll stay in touch. Have a great weekend.
Hey, be well.